As one of the most beloved and all-round recommendable genres in gaming history, the old-school RPG provided a foundation that almost every AAA title now conforms to. Stat grinds, huge amounts of customized loot, leveling systems, equipment loadouts, twinned with open-world elements and scattered mission design, RPGs are a core pillar of the industry today. With so much proliferation of their most identifiable aspects, it's kinda hard drilling down to what an isolated RPG even is anymore. But mention those three letters and the words best ever, and you'll quickly come across the likes of the Elder Scrolls series, the Witcher trilogy, or a good 10 or so Final Fantasies. And for as much as we adore role-playing and expansive detailed world-building, some of the all-round best versions of these combined traits are housed in titles the majority of gamers haven't even heard of. Nothing against those aforementioned titans, of course, but if you're looking for genuinely the most rewarding experiences known to humankind, you have to delve that little bit more below the surface. And if you have any other RPG recommendations it feels like only you played, please shout them out in the comments below, and let's just celebrate the genre for what it really is. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most underappreciated RPGs ever. Number 10, Vagrant Story. As the prolific and damn near perfect Final Fantasy trilogy of 7, 8, and 9 drew to a close, many started to move away from Square's turn-based RPGs as the dawn of the PS2 was increasingly within reach. It became something of a shame then that Square Enix actually turned out one of their all-time best works as a one-off installment devoid of any franchise ties. Innovative as hell by discarding turn-taking combat in favor of a real-time approach centered entirely on positioning, timing, and specific attack buffs that could be comboed together, you were free to pause time and consider the next move, with animations playing out in between. Targeting limbs and weak points was here too, and you can even do extra damage by using the right weapon per enemy or timing an additional button press. All of which is to say that boss encounters were pretty much overhauled, and it made the whole experience run far faster than any Final Fantasy. Yes, the character designs fall entirely into that wacky / everyone's half-naked school of art direction Square became known for in the early 2000s, but gameplay-wise, Vagrant Story is one of the most unique RPGs ever made. Number 9, Resonance of Fate. Releasing in the same month as Final Fantasy XIII, God of War 3, and Just Cause 2 back in 2010, Resonance of Fate was either obliterated by the hype of its direct competition, or it lost out to people putting down their cash elsewhere. With the benefit of hindsight though, and Final Fantasy XIII being a notably shaky installment, especially in retrospect, Resonance of Fate is a phenomenal experience. Set in a post-apocalypse where the remaining chunk of humanity live in what feels like an airborne version of Final Fantasy VII's Midgar, this combines with a ton of Western influences to give a tone unlike anything else. Characters swap swords and staffs for dual-wielding pistols and firearms, as cutscene direction favors slow motion and bullets licking characters' faces as they scrape through standoffs. All of this is made playable too, with gameplay prioritizing immediacy using aim mechanics, jumps, and preemptive combos, only to execute all your plans with expertly shot cinematography. Forever destined to be a cult classic, Resonance of Fate's overall presentation is just sublime. Number 8, Battle Chasers Night War. If you've played the fantastic Darksiders series, and I totally recommend the first and second especially, you'll already know Joe Madureira's style. It's very Dungeons & Dragons, huge muscle-bound knights with swords twice their size, accompanied by buxom warrior women deploying fields of fire towards the ensuing hordes. In short, it's the most raucous parts of heavy metal album art mixed with retro fantasy, done with characters and angles that pop right off the screen. With all that in mind, Battle Chasers had long been a comic series inked by Madureira, but Night War made all those lovable designs and the inviting world controllable. Playing as a party led by Gully, a small girl who's inherited large magical fist gauntlets from her father, you set about clearing the world of demons and bandit camps, all in search of said father who's now gone missing. Though the story is very light as an excuse to get to the combat, it's here where everything collides in a crunchy, enjoyable mesh of well-animated combos, sword swings, and character-specific specials. Battle Chasers plays every bit as good as it looks, and that's really saying something. Number 7, Lost Odyssey. Easily my personal favorite on this list, Lost Odyssey is a balls-to-bone JRPG. It's because of its dogged reliance on well-worn, reliable tropes that I love it so much, and spread across a whopping 4 discs, needed at the time to maintain gorgeous graphics and hefty environment sizes, you play as Kaim, an amnesiac 1,000-year-old immortal who's lived endless number of lives but just can't remember them. A really resonant thing though is Lost Odyssey highlighting the utter tragedy of being cursed with immortality. Kaim's past lives come through text-based diary entries as well as cutscenes, but many are somber tales of former friends aging out of existence as Kaim is forced to wait by their bedsides. There is a larger reason behind Kaim's state and his purpose in the world, but few RPGs strike such a great balance between minute-to-minute exploration and a slow burn narrative payoff. Gameplay-wise, it's exactly what you'd expect, especially when developers Mistwalker are led by one of the creators of Final Fantasy himself, Hironobu Sakaguchi. From top to bottom, this is an immaculate JRPG. Traditional, sure, but all the more respectable and treasured because of it. Number 6, Wild Arms. Included on the otherwise disastrous PlayStation Classic, a mini console running various old-school gems on a processor that somehow struggles to maintain a solid frame rate, Wild Arms is best played through emulation or on something like the PS Vita. Its world is expertly designed, with cutscenes especially popping with a Saturday morning anime vibe that invites you along for the ride. Annoyingly for developers Mediavision and Sony, this was released just a month before Final Fantasy VII in Japan and 5 months before it in North America. It all but crippled sales when everyone was looking forward to the first 3D Final Fantasy, but Wild Arms still has charm in spades. Set in the realm of Phil Gaia, Mediavision injected the saloon doors and stagecoaches American Wild West with a touch of Eastern flair. It's a brilliant combo that few artists have ever revisited. Combat is turn-based as we'd expect for the time, but a response stat governed who could leap in and take their shot first. It's a mechanic many RPGs like Child of Light or Octopath Traveler still play with to this day, and the game's titular arms are also used as ancient weapons to be acquired and mastered. Number 5, Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. Over the years, various devs have experimented with different combat and action schemes to supplant the more considered aspects of an RPG. Yes, we'll always be customizing loadouts, finding trinkets, assortments of lore dump texts and key items, but what is the gameplay glue holding it all together? Kingdoms of Amalur then, despite starting life as an MMO and going through development hell, emerged as World of Warcraft's world size and graphics meets God of War's immediately visceral arcadey melee combos. You were still free to explore a variety of playstyles, putting points into stealth or mage spells, but regardless, the animation system blending everything together was really fluid. Kingdoms of Amalur just feels good. It absolutely nails the want to keep playing at 2 AM for just one more quest, both to drink in the towering world and its many dungeons, but mainly for the satisfaction of that next encounter. Number 4, Eternal Sonata. Talk about a phenomenal idea for a game right off the bat. Eternal Sonata has you playing as the real-world legendary 1800s composer Frédéric Francois Chopin, as he explores through his dreams a version of the world that he thought awaited him in life while simultaneously passing away on his deathbed. It's immediately heavy and thoughtful stuff, though the game twins lofty ideas of Chopin's personal philosophy and outlook, taken from his lyrics and work, with cheerful Akira Toriyama-style graphics. Together you have a cheerful adventure bursting with optimism and vibrant, energetic characters, forever coming up against conversations and commentary designed to make you question the true value of artistry and Chopin's approach to life itself. By game's end, you'll have experienced a supremely touching, thoughtful rumination on Chopin, tragically cut short by tuberculosis at age 39, but the game is executed in a way that works better than anyone could have imagined. Number 3, Jade Empire. For whatever reason, Jade Empire just didn't land back in 2005. It's pretty baffling to this day, as even the elevator pitch of BioWare RPG with martial arts combat and an Eastern setting should have sold itself. Regardless, Jade Empire was BioWare trying something new. Coming from Neverwinter Nights and into the stratospherically popular Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, they forewent another pause, think about your next action, execute while remaining hands-off approach, instead letting you customize a variety of viciously disciplined warriors with killer aesthetics defending the realm in style. Stance switching on the D-pad, the ability to use weapons, a very dialogue-heavy story with many branching paths and NPC details. There's an inelegance to the execution that likely puts some people off, but Jade Empire is easily BioWare's shiniest hidden gem. Number 2, Dragon's Dogma. The only other RPG over the years that I'd hold up next to Kingdoms of Amalur as having the best third-person action money can buy. Dragon's Dogma, now thankfully available on Switch, feels like Monster Hunter meets MMO quest design. The combination birthing scores of missions you can undertake from camps and NPCs, but with combat that's both responsive and enjoyable to experiment with. Playing as a bestowed upon Arisen, you'll first have your heart stolen by a giant dragon, because video games, only to learn that you can command a posse of pawns. Ultimately, these are soulless NPC helpers who come in all shapes and sizes to flesh out your party. Combined, you have something that plays with the direct combat sensibility of an offline action game, but with the teamwork and healing dynamics of an online MMO. It's surprisingly effective. Players can send their custom pawns into each other's games to retrieve loot or items alongside that respective hero, returning with the spoils of war while you were in between sessions. Even better, this has a sense of scale to its battles that rivals Shadow of the Colossus. With a dedicated button, you're free to grab onto everything from towering ogres to airborne griffins, wrenching them out the sky with a few well-placed stabs so that your whole squad can then wail away for the win. Now 7 years old and having been re-released multiple times, Dragon's Dogma is more than overdue a sequel, or at least a whole bunch more people checking it out. Number 1, Dark Chronicle. Cast your mind back to the launch of the PS2 and you'll probably remember Dark Cloud, an RPG mixed with city building elements that was shown off more because of ace lighting and water effects, but it still had solid dungeon crawling and a rewarding world progression. Flash forward just 2 years, and while the gaming world was enamored with blockbuster fare like Morrowind, GTA Vice City, Kingdom Hearts, and Splinter Cell, one of the most fleshed out and pitch-perfect sequels ever dropped right in our potential laps. Dark Chronicle took everything about its forebear, the township management and notion of customization twinned with exploration, and spread it out across a massive series of environments. Graphics were made even more adorable by adopting cell shading, we now had 2 protagonists, Maximilian and Monica, and combat took on a life of its own with inventions. A genius idea that meant taking photos of various things in the world would let you create new weapons like a makeshift golf club, miniature mechs, or souped-up wrenches. This key mechanic has never been replicated and certainly never done quite so well. Dark Chronicle sees Max and Monica restore various villages and populaces to battle the nefarious Emperor Griffin, but it's this gorgeously enjoyable mix of graphics, wondrously inventive combat, rewarding item loops, and enemy designs that hands down make it utterly essential. Also, just an FYI, this is available on PS4 as a PS2 classic. Go play. And that is my list of the most overlooked RPGs in gaming history. Let me know down in the comments if there were any others that you picked up along the way that you think are worth sharing, and don't forget to check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.